Okay, let's dive right into this. We're going to tackle a piece of real estate advice that's so common, most of us just take it as fact. You have to wait for spring to sell your house. But what if that's not just old advice? What if it's actually just plain wrong?
We're going to explore that exact question. See, the sources we've looked at suggest that for a lot of sellers, especially this year, listing a home in the dead of winter isn't a handicap at all. In fact, it might just be the smartest power move you could make.
So what's the big idea here? Well, it's really a tale of two completely different markets. The spring rush, yeah, it brings a ton of traffic, but also brings a flood of competition and a lot of casual lookers. The winter window, though, that's a whole different ballgame. You're dealing with fewer buyers, but they're way more serious. And that creates a market with less competition, and, this is the key, more leverage for you, the seller.
All right, first up, let's tear down this spring selling myth, this idea that April and May are somehow the only golden months to put a sign in the yard.
This is the big one we're busting today. This belief that as soon as it gets cold, the market just hibernates until the flowers pop up. But you know what? The data and the expert analysis, they tell a totally different story. The market doesn't stop, it just changes. And that change is something you can absolutely use to your advantage.
And here's the thing, it all boils down to simple economics. When the supply of homes for sale drops, any seller who is on the market suddenly gets this unique position of power.
Now, what I love about this is how clearly it shows that drop-off. According to REMAX, the number of homes for sale can plummet by nearly 20% from fall to winter. Just think about that for a second. While most of your potential competition is sitting on the sidelines waiting for spring, you could be out there with a fifth fewer homes to compete against. That's huge.
And this number right here, this is exactly why waiting might be a big mistake this year in particular. The Realtor.com 2025 housing forecast expects for-sale inventory to be almost 12% higher this year than last. So waiting for spring doesn't just mean competing with the usual crowd. It means you're going to be competing with an even bigger crowd.
This quote from real estate agent Cedric Stewart just sums it up perfectly. Yeah, sure, you might get more people walking through your door in June, but you'll also be one of 5 similar houses for sale on the block. In January, you're the main event. You're not just another option on the list, you might be the only option.
So let's flip the coin and look at the other side of the equation. Because it's not just about fewer sellers, it's about a completely different kind of buyer. Forget the weekend hobbyist just looking for decorating ideas. Winter brings out the pros. Let's define this person, because they are so important to this strategy. We're talking about the deadline buyer. These aren't people just browsing Zillow for fun on a Saturday. These are people who are out in the cold, braving the elements because they have to move. They're shopping to solve a real-life problem, and they are on the clock. And what kind of deadlines are we talking about? Well, as you can see, they're the big, serious life events. A job relocation that kicks off in January, a great mortgage rate that's about to expire, a baby on the way that makes a bigger home a real necessity, not just a nice-to-have. These aren't casual wishes. They are powerful reasons to make a decision, and make it fast. I mean, this quote from realtor Mike Pabian just nails it, doesn't it? Anyone who's put on snow boots and a parka to go to an open house when it's freezing out isn't a tourist. They're a shopper, a serious one. They're pre-approved, they're decisive, and they are ready to make a deal. And here's where it all connects back to your bottom line. This combination of low supply and super motivated buyers, it often leads to much stronger, firmer offers. With fewer houses to choose from, these deadline buyers are way less likely to lowball you. They're focused on securing the right home. You're not as likely to get stuck in that endless back and forth haggling.
Okay, so we get the why, but what about the how? The goal isn't to try and pretend it's summer. The goal is to absolutely master the art of the winter showing.
The really crucial thing here is to shift your mindset. Forget about perfect landscaping and curb appeal for a minute. The focus moves indoors. A winter buyer is looking for a warm, safe, well-maintained haven from the cold. They're scanning for red flags, so your job is to prove there aren't any. This checklist is your playbook, and it's not about expensive renovations. It's about signaling that you care for your home. The house has to feel warm the second they walk in. The windows need to be free of that condensation, which buyers immediately see as a sign of future problems. And of course, the path to your front door has to be clear and safe. And finally, having that paperwork ready proves this home is a solid bet. Now, let's just zero in on that humidity point for a sec, because it's a detail that makes a huge difference. Buyers see frost on the inside of windows, and their minds immediately go to rot and expensive repairs.
As this handy chart from our source material shows, managing your indoor humidity based on the temperature outside is critical. It's a really small adjustment that prevents a major buyer turnoff. And this is where a simple piece of paper becomes so powerful. Leaving a receipt for a recent furnace service on the kitchen counter? That's not showing off. That is a trust builder. You're not just selling a house, you're selling peace of mind. You're telling that deadline buyer, hey, this home will not fail you in the middle of a polar vortex.
So after all of this, what does it really boil down to? The data is compelling, for sure, but the final decision is always, always personal.
I absolutely love this quote from Realtor Crystal like us. It's so easy to get wrapped up in trying to perfectly time the market. But at the end of the day, the best time to move is when you need to move for a new job, a growing family, whatever your reason is. And broker Alex Platt really echoes that sentiment. Chasing that perfect market moment is often a losing game. If your personal reasons for selling are all lining up, that's what really matters. That often trumps any seasonal market trend. Which, of course, brings us to our final question for you. When you think about it, with less competition, more motivated buyers, and a clear playbook for success, that unconventional winter window might just be your golden opportunity. So the only question left is your right time happening right now?